A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we warmly welcome you again to A2Y. I'm Yasas.
Hello, Masi.
Azi, I believe today you're in a different environment, so we must tell our listeners if you hear some noises, people honking on the road, please excuse that because Azi is taking this webinar on the road. How are things over
Absolutely. So
there?
I came to Colombo only in the morning, like around 4 o'clock. I left Kandy, and 8:30 I reached Colombo and had some couple of customer meetings. And after finishing, it's evening. I'm heading back to Kandy while I'm on the way because we are committed to you every day, every Thursday 6:30. We are coming to see you to give you the knowledge nuggets.
Definitely. So, Azi, we must tell our listeners he's safe. He has parked the car, so he's not
Yep,
talking
yep.
while he's driving. Right.
Probably
With
I
that,
can
Azi,
show. No, no, it's not. It's not
I
visible.
think the screen is blurred, so we can't see anything, but that's okay. Azi, let's jump into the topic because remember, we have a promise of delivering everything in 15 minutes, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So, today's topic is importance of questioning. Azi, when you say importance of questioning, it sounds a bit like interrogating, you're in front of the police and somebody's trying to question you for what you've been doing. Um, let's just go into a particular quote before we really go into what are we trying to talk and what questioning is about. I would like to kind of put attention towards something said by a very important person, a highly regarded person, and this is not anyone, but it is Albert Einstein. So, Albert Einstein, as we all know, has said this important thing about questioning. He had said, if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depends on it, okay, I would use the first 55 minutes just to determine the proper question that I should ask. Because for once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. So his statement itself says as it that he would put his emphasis on the question rather than the answer. The whole reason is we all know asking the right question is the most important thing than answering the wrong question. Because we are, as humans, always very good in answering questions, but we are very bad in asking the right question. So, with that, Asi, let's jump into today's topic. It's about questioning. What is questioning, Asi?
So, in my personal opinion, yes, as questioning is an action. It's an activity. Probably we can say it's an act of asking questions to gain information, to clarify your understanding. And it's a skill. Every skill is a learnable skill, right? So questioning is a skill where you ask questions to clarify the understanding. So that's our definition of questioning.
Yes, and we must tell the word has a lot of meanings, right? As I said, the police or an investigator, an audit team can always question you. So we are kind of worried when we hear the word questioning. It's like somebody's digging deep into you, trying to find out something wrong. That's kind of a perception we have about questioning. But what we are talking is using questioning as a technique, and we will tell you how you can do it in the best way. We are going to talk about how you can practice it in the best way for the best of your work. It can be for sales, it can be to create a better business strategy, it can be for innovation. All these type of things that you would do in a business requires proper questioning. And with that, let me go into the next slide. This is actually taken from this book, The Innovator's DNA. I strongly recommend this because it's all about mastering the 5 skills on innovative behavior. Because generally we believe there's a norm that you are born as an innovator, you're born as a creative person. And this book talks about it as a myth, and they show like how anyone can be an innovator themselves. So they've taken questioning as one of the most important skills that you need to master if you want to even be an innovator. And this is the diagram, Azi, that shows how much of importance questioning as a skill is for these different type of roles, whether you're a startup entrepreneur or whether you're a corporate entrepreneur, that's an entrepreneur within a company, or whether you're a product innovator or a process innovator who changes process in companies, or even if you're a non-innovator. You can see almost every person requires more than 50%. I would say
Mm.
non-innovator uh, ranked it a little less than 50, maybe it's about 48%. But however, you could see questioning as a skill is above the 50th percentile. So
Mm.
this is why we want our viewers, our listeners to take this as an important message, whether you're in sales, whether you're in innovation, whether you're in business strategy, whether you're in digital marketing, or
Yeah,
whether you're in, you're trying to master your day-to-day life skills.
absolutely.
Questioning is always important.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, I know for a fact that you use a framework. In fact, you actually taught me this framework couple of weeks back when we have a internal discussion where we share our knowledge. So during that knowledge sharing, you actually shared that very interesting framework. I would love if you can share that framework with our
Okay.
audience.
Okay, actually, Azi, I have several frameworks. What I'm going to do is I'll just show the several frameworks, and I will say what I prefer, mostly
Mm.
what I do or what we've discussed even in our official capacity.
Yeah.
First one I would say is 5Ws 1H, and most of you might have heard, especially if you've done any business related or if you've done any risk assessment. 5Ws 1H is one known for framework. The 5W stands for who, what, when, where, why, and 1H is for how. So if you take any question, any problem, and you ask these questions who, what, when, where, why, and how, automatically you start digging deep into the questioning itself. And
Mm.
all these answers, if you ask the questions in the right way and you phrase the questions in the right way, the answers would really give you a lot of insight. As I said, this
Mm.
can be if you're trying to discover your business strategy, if you're trying to uncover something, it could be a consultation. It could be you're trying to understand something, you're trying to get better clarity on something. It could be if you're a digital marketer, maybe it's trying to understand the campaign. If you're a salesperson, you're trying to understand the customer's burning problem, the emotional and rational problem. If it's a life situation, you're trying to understand the problem that you're facing, the confrontation you're facing. So you can use this technique. Now, my preferred technique, or the one that we've been talking earlier, is the 5 whys. Now, this one is where you ask why as a question 5 times. Most of the
Mm.
time, you will never go get into the fifth why. You will stop at probably the third or fourth why. But it's
Yes.
quite important to ask this why, because at a glance, normally what happens is we would always say, we would answer only one why. If you want to know, like, why is my campaign not successful? That's the question you would ask. And based
Yes.
on the answer, you can dig in deep. Okay, why is Facebook not performing? Because the campaign is probably unsuccessful only on Facebook, not on
Mm.
Instagram, not on
Mm.
Google, probably, right? Then you take another layer, and then you ask, okay, within Facebook, is it the messenger ads, or is it the lead generation ads, is it the reach ads? So you're taking another third why, and if you go
Yeah.
in deep, you will actually go into the point where you identify the real problem of your question. Same
Yeah.
situation in sales situation. Let's say you're an ERP salesman, and the customer says, "Hey, we have you know we have huge inventory." So you ask, "Okay, why do you have huge inventory?"
Mm.
It's because we are stocking it for all our future demand. And then
Mm.
you would ask, why would you want to stock it for future demand?
Future
Because we
demands.
cannot really track our inventory at the moment, and we don't
Mm.
want to run
Mm.
out of it. So you start
Yeah.
asking this question one by one, and you would actually come into the point and the real pain of your customer. So these are the 5 whys. I must say,
Yeah.
Azi, within 15 minutes, and probably we are spending about 2-3 minutes just on this framework, it is
Yeah.
very unfair, and you cannot justify explaining these frameworks. But what we should say is, if any of you are interested, as you know, we do have training. We kind of take our customers, we try to help people. Follow us on the NASIO platform. We can tell you how we can really take you in, whether it's sales, whether it's questioning, whether it's innovation related, whether it's anything. We can basically guide you and help you to find out how you can engage with us and get to know more about this. So please
Correct.
bear with me. I'm just taking you through the tip of the iceberg. Next one is
So
Ishikawa diagram. Sometimes we know it as fishbone charts. Yes. If
yes, sir,
most,
sorry, I will have to interrupt you for a minute.
yes.
So this is a practical question I'm asking, right? So sometimes this five wives, not wives, wives,
Now
wives.
that's the problem you're getting into if you pronounce it wrong.
Yeah. So five whys, when you constantly ask five why from the customer conversation in a customer conversation, probably customer already know these techniques. So uh, as a sales expert, as a conversation expert, how do you actually use these five whys in a practical way where the customer will not understand, hey, this guy is not using this framework with me? So how do you use that?
Okay, good question, Azia. Great question, actually. What you should do is don't take the word as why itself. So I said like you're a ERP salesperson, you're walking a customer says I have a huge inventory. So you can ask, okay, I understand you have a huge inventory. Can you explain why you have a huge inventory? So rather than taking the why as the first question, you're bringing it into the
Mm,
middle of the question, and you kind of
okay.
ask it in a way they don't even figure out that you're using a framework. Then you probably take it to the second question and say, okay, I understand. So your central depot is where you have a large inventory, and you've said like it's because you want to avoid stock out situations.
Mm,
Why do you think you have had stock out situations? So you
got it.
kind of ask it in a way without them asking. It's not you're not going to count your fingers saying, okay, I asked the first why, let me take the second why and third why and the fourth why. It has to come naturally in your conversation. And
Correct.
the more you practice this, the better you'll be at questioning and using these techniques. As you know,
Mm,
Azi, like when we use it in our consultation, we don't really think about it anymore, right? It comes
yes.
naturally. We ask these questions naturally from our customers or prospects when we try to clarify their problem into a deeper level. So it's a practice. Once you
Yes.
get into that practice and that comfort level where it will naturally flow. I hope I
Mm.
answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Yasa. So we only have about 3 minutes. Do you think that we have time to
Yes,
explain the Ishikawa diagram?
I think we might have to probably stop at this, but let's discuss these other two frameworks as well. The other one
Yeah.
is what we call Ishikawa diagram, and also it's called the fishbone chart. It's all about you kind of if you take a fishbone, you know it has a main path and it has the subdivisions of the bone, right? So you take the main problem and you subdivide each and every part of that problem into branches, and if you draw it's like sometimes we even use it for mind mapping. If you want to
Mm.
take short notes, if you want to kind of have everything concisely, you would use this technique. I'm sure most of you who are listening would have used this technique, but you
Yeah.
didn't know it was Ishikawa diagram or it was fishbone chart, right? So it's something we know personally. During the days I used to study every subject, every content I used to have. When I used to lecture, I used to give a Ishikawa diagram to my students, which consists the whole syllabus and a breakdown of syllabus, because it's very easy. You can even paste it on your wall, and at a glance, you can remember everything because we remember things visually than text
Mm.
and than
Mm.
remembering words. So
Correct.
Ishikawa diagram is one method where you branch out. So it's the same way like the five whys. You take one problem and you break it. You uh, take it into subparts. Then you take one of those sub problems and again you break it into subparts. So automatically you're kind of doing this five whys, or you can combine it with five whys. So you
Mm.
can take the first why as one branch and then subdivide it to the next why and the next why, because sometimes each of these whys would have four or five or even two different paths, and
Yeah.
then you take each of that path and break it. So this is how Ishikawa diagram works. Final thing is root cause analysis. Mostly risk assessors, people who are in process, they use this. In IT sector, they use it. You call it RCA sometimes. Root cause analysis is where you again go in, divide, and you look at how has this problem occurred. In Toyota, we call it Genji Genbutsu. We don't call root cause analysis as Genji Genbutsu, but you use Genji Genbutsu. That means you go to the actual source to find out what has been happening. So if you really go to the root cause, okay, if you try to find out where does this pop up rather than trying to solve the problem, it's probably the best thing. I can give a personal example, personal experience I've had. I used to get a hardening of my foot on one side because of constant the way I walk, I used to get one part of my skin getting hard, and that used to press against my muscle, and it was giving me pain. So I went into somebody told me you need to go to a surgeon, and the surgeon said, "Look, I can cut this off and help you, but it'll come again." The root cause of this is you need to go to an orthopedic doctor, a specialist, and figure out why you're walking unbalanced. And actually,
Mm.
when I went to the orthopedic surgeon, orthopedic doctor, he specialist, he asked me to take an X-ray, and there were certain things that happened after that, and it entirely solved the problem. I didn't have to even do surgery; it just changed the way I walk, and
Mm.
to date, I don't have that problem. So that's because the root cause was taken in. Now, the surgeon could have
Mm.
taken the shortcut and just cut that skin part off, which was hardened and just pressing against my muscle. But as he said, it would have come again and again. So this is how you need to take root cause analysis. Try to find out the exact reason why that cause is popping up, and try to solve that first. And this can be done by again questioning and going deep. So I think, Azi, we've gone past the 15 minutes mark again. Sorry
Yes.
about it. We tend to do this. It's really a challenge to give content in 15 minutes. But as I said, Azi, let's encourage everyone to go to nasa.io slash forward
Yeah.
slash 33, connect in a per private group. We can go into detail. If anybody is interested, we can do even exclusive webinars which are longer, which can break
Yeah.
some of this content into detail, and we can help you because questioning, as we said, is very, very important. So we will need to, there's several other slides, I see, right, which we have to cover.
Yes.
It will have to go to
Yes.
the next week.
Probably we will have to have two more sessions, part 2 and part 3, where we will give
Probably.
a descriptive information about this particular subject. So, like we stated, questioning is a skill. Whatever you have learned from this 15 minutes short knowledge nuggets, please use it, please practice it every single day. And if you have challenges, reach out to me or reach out to Yasa. So we are here to help you out.
Exactly. Or you can follow us on Facebook, the #33 page. You can follow us on YouTube or LinkedIn. And as Asi said, you can find us. It's quite easy. I'm Yasas Gunaratna. And the Asita goes as 1 minute motivation, and Asita, I think, Vikramarajan.
Vikamaraji. Yes.
Yes. So it's very easy to find us on social. Do a Google search, and you can get in touch with us. So with that, Azi, let's end today's edition of A to Y, and let's connect again next Thursday at 6:30 with all of you. Thank you very much for connecting with us. Have a good day. See you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.